Welcome to the Spider Summer Series video on how to enroll in disability services. I'm Dr. Cord Schneider, the Director of Disability Services here at the University of Richmond. Very excited to welcome all the first years that are watching this video. And the purpose of today's video is quite simple. What I want to do today is I want to walk you through how it is that you can sign up for disability services, who is covered, and a little bit about how the process works so we can hit the web running, so to speak, when we get here. The purpose of this video is to explain how students can obtain accommodations at the University of Richmond. So the first step you have to understand is that it is your responsibility under the Americans with Disabilities Act to disclose. So it's a little bit different than the K-12 setting where it's the school's responsibility. In the higher education setting, it is the responsibility of the individual seeking accommodations, which means that you have to go through us to get accommodations. We're not going to know that you have a disability unless you tell us, right? Students at Richmond are covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, and the Fair Housing Act if you're seeking housing accommodations, right? So who do we cover, or what kind of disabilities do we cover? It's a permanent disabilities where a student qualifies if they have a disability that substantially limits a major life activity, which is the definition under both the Rehab Act, the Fair Housing Act, and the third, the Americans with Disabilities Act. So we cover things like ADHD, learning disabilities, psychological disabilities, physical disabilities, visual impairments. Chronic health conditions like allergies even fall under this. If you have dietary restrictions, for example, mobility impairments, all of that qualifies if you have an impaired major life activity as a result of a permanent condition. Now, for those of you that are like, well, I don't have a permanent condition, I don't know if I need this, we also do provide assistance to individuals who come to the university and need temporary accommodations for injuries. So if you're playing a sport, if you're playing a club sport or a Division I sport and you get a concussion, we can provide temporary assistance. If you're playing intramural basketball and you break your thumb or you fall off of a skateboard, we can help you with accommodations. We don't wish those things to happen, but we recognize that sometimes life happens and we can provide those temporary adjustments to you if needed. And so that is a thing that we do, and so our office can touch everybody, and often does touch a large share of our student population. How do students apply? You have to do it through us. You go online to disability.richmond.edu. You'll need your NetID and your password because it's behind our firewall and protected. The application takes about 15 minutes. When you go to our website, there's a link to the application, and you can apply for the accommodation. The application takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. You can also upload documentation, and those can be things like a 504 plan, an IEP, if you had a psychological evaluation done, if you have anxiety and you're seeing a therapist, a letter from a therapist that's treating you, that has a treatment history. Your primary care physician can diagnose you if they've had a treating history with you and can speak to the current impact of the disability. That's what we're looking for. So the first step, you complete the application, takes about 15 minutes. I do recommend having your documentation so that you can have that, because if you fill out the application without the documentation, much harder for us to provide you accommodations because we don't understand what the impact is. So having that documentation, again, whether that's a 504 plan, an IEP, whether that's something from your primary care physician, whether that is something from your therapist, whether that's something from your allergist, any of those things, for example, could qualify. Then once you apply, that's the first step. It is necessary but not sufficient. The second step is you need to meet with somebody in our office. That would either be me as the director or Julia Kelly, the accessibility specialist. And in that meeting, which is about 30 to 45 minutes, we're going to take in all the factors. We're going to look at the impact of the disability. We're going to look at your narrative. We're going to look at the medical documentation, and we're going to have a conversation with you. The meeting is not meant to be intimidating or adversarial. It is literally a conversation as part of the process to determine what accommodations are reasonable, necessary, and appropriate. We provide classroom accommodations, testing accommodations, and we provide things like if you have dietary restrictions or needs around food, possible housing accommodations, right? Anything that touches the student's life is something that we can do and often do to help you to navigate college life. And we have that as part of the conversation. And really, it doesn't stop there. This is really the first step in a relationship with the students. We definitely recommend you meeting with us. We can do those meetings in person or over Zoom. So if you're not on campus, you can schedule those Zoom meetings with us. And that's definitely something that you'll want to do. Deadlines are kind of important, particularly around housing. Need to apply for those by June 1st. So definitely recommend getting the application in by June 1st. And just apply ASAP, because even if you're not looking for housing, it's better to have your accommodations in place before you get here. It's one less thing you have to worry about as you're coming in, you're doing orientation week, then you're starting all your new classes, you're meeting your new friend group. That's a lot to do in your transition to college. Let's take that piece of signing up with disability services off your plate before you get here. Let's meet over Zoom and have that conversation. If you have questions, for sure, you can reach out to us and contact us directly. You have my email there, cschnei2@richmond.edu, cschnei2@richmond.edu. You can also call me directly, 804-662-3017. And Julia Kelly, the accessibility specialist, you can reach out to her at jkelly3@richmond.edu, and her number is 804-662-5001. And we are here all summer, meaning that we do work year round. So definitely reach out to us, have that meeting, and we look forward to talking with you. I hope this video has been helpful. It's been wonderful to just sort of briefly tell you about how to apply for accommodations and what that looks like. And I look forward to meeting all of you when you get to campus. Thank you and have a great day.